Rebellions are built on hope.
Welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I am your host, Alberto Calderon, and thank you for joining us on another great Star Wars Saturday. And I am joined today by two great Star Wars fans, Star Wars guests. He was here last week. He'll be here for the rest of the Book of Boba Fett talks. Go ahead. Who's here, Oti? I mean, yeah, it's you.
Hi.
And then joining us, special guest today from the KonKon's Cantina, it is Konnor. Konnor, how are you doing? Welcome to the Rebellion.
Thank you, Alberto. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here, guys.
Yeah. Before Book of Boba Fett came out, I started kind of posting out that, hey, it's coming. I gotta start playing my show. So we're one of the first that reached out. Hey, if you need a guest, let me know. And of course, let's go ahead and do it. So Konnor, we're talking a little bit before. It is your first time here, so if you wouldn't mind, kind of telling us a little bit about what your show is, your podcast, and where are things going right now.
Well, what is up, everybody? I am Konnor Jackson, also known as It's KonKon. I am one of two hosts for KonKon's Cantina, a Star Wars drinking podcast. Me and my friends, we were always, drinking bourbons, beers, and we always ended up talking about fandom, nerd stuff, primarily Star Wars. And I'm like, we need to start a podcast. We need to put this, on the internet, right? Talk about beers and whatnot. So every episode, we always talk about Star Wars primarily. We do cover a little bit of Marvel, but every episode we have a drink. Must be 21 years or older, of course, depending on where you live. Except for you, Germany, you guys can drink pretty much whenever you want. But we talk about what we're drinking. We give it a rating. We have our Mando scale, right? So there's 10 Mandos down in the covert, and it's how many of those Mandos would enjoy what we're drinking. And then we go over Star Wars. So obviously right now we're covering Book of Boba Fett, and we have coverage dating all the way back to Mandalorian Season 1, Season 2, and then also some of the movies.
Cool. So make sure everyone go ahead and check that out. It's always interesting when you meet new people doing Star Wars podcasts, how they come up with their shows and trying to find that niche to kind of make it different, because there's so many out there just to find a way. So that's a great way to kind of put all your love, just not just Star Wars drinking, mixing them up a little bit, and I'm sure it makes for a great show. So yeah, we're all a little tired. We talked about it a little bit before. Our friend Dale is here. How you doing, Dale? He's always here. Thanks for joining us today. I got this new shirt today, a retro Mandalorian shirt. My wife got it for me a little before St. Valentine's Day. It's a pre-St. Valentine's Day gift. So she's already out of the way. She got me, so she's good. Any Star Wars, not podcast-wise, any Star Wars stuff you guys have been doing this week in kind of preparation for today or whatever?
If you want to go first, Konnor.
We'll do what I've been doing Star Wars wise is I've been combing through the Star Wars Twitterverse. All right.
Oh no, why?
Exactly. Star Wars Twitterverse is not the most amazing place in the world, but Facebook groups and other stuff, just seeing like what people were talking about the episode, and just a general comment that I'd like to make. Something that is a little upsetting is when, let's be honest, people didn't like the speeder bike stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very well received. And a lot of people are like really downing the show as a whole just because of one scene. One scene doesn't damn the whole show. It wasn't my favorite episode, but that's what I did in preparation. Obviously I had my notes from when we recorded our episode on the third episode. But I gave the episode a 6 out of 10. I think that there's some things that hopefully the show can do better in. I'm still really enjoying it, but yeah, the speeder bike chase scene was tough. It was tough.
We're sure to get into it for a little bit.
Yeah.
So before we go into it, first, always, if you're watching this live, thanks for being here. Make sure that you hit that like button, all that fun stuff that YouTubers are supposed to push out there. Comment, subscribe, all that. Mo is here. Love to see you again, Mo. Thanks for being here. And if you're watching this later, make sure to leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe. And if you're listening to this on the audio podcast when it comes out on Monday, also thank you and leave us a rating, review, and wherever. Spotify now has those ratings, Apple Podcasts, all those fun stuff. There really isn't a lot of Star Wars news out there. We talked a little bit that there's rumors about a Bo-Katan TV show, which I'm not putting too much stock into it. The new Mando season 2 art of got announced, so that's coming out. So yeah, not a lot of Star Wars news. Anything you guys want to add to that before we kind of dive into Boba Fett?
I'm excited about the art of Mandalorian season 2. I have the book for Mandalorian season 1. It's a very, very cool coffee table book, so I am actually excited about the second one.
I I asked for the first season book for Christmas and the second one because I didn't know it hadn't released yet, and my mom or Santa Claus called me and was like, "Hey, this book isn't out yet." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah."
So yeah."
Yeah, they were. How did that work after you called? Santa went to the elves. Oh no, Otis asking for this. We gotta get it out there soon.
Yeah.
So I have the art of for the sequel trilogy. I love those. I have some of the others for Solo and Rogue One, and I wanted to get these, but since we get a lot of that art as the credits for every episode, it kind of pushed me a little. Took me a little bit out. I can just watch it there, but I know there's some great information how they come up with the shows in all those books. So for all you guys, I love all the art that goes into all the shows and how they prepare them. It's a great books to get out there.
I would advise a bit of caution because you start with the Star Wars one, then you got the Blade Runner one, and I got the X-Men animated show one. It's very addictive.
It's a slippery slope. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
They're very good.
It's like everything, like back there. Let me grab one Funko Pop, and then you run out of space and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here to talk Book of Boba Fett. So if you guys are ready, I know I'm ready. Let's talk Star Wars and the Book of Boba Fett, our book reports. I gotta make that a little bit louder. It just sound like, someone writing on the chalkboard.
It sounded
But
good.
anyway,
It's fine.
it's fine, whatever. So yes, episode 3. I'm gonna start with you, Konnor. It's your first time here, so I don't know your thoughts overall of the season so far. You mentioned before that you are enjoying it, but have a little issues. So just overall, what are you feeling about the season so far, and overall thoughts on this episode before we jump into more specifics?
I'm enjoying it so far. I am enjoying the flashbacks. The timeline can be a little confusing, maybe for a little bit more casual watchers. You know, we're kind of jumping around in the Star Wars timeline a little bit. I don't mind the dialogue. I think the acting is pretty good. I really, really like the costuming in the show. Star Wars has always done really, really good with costuming. Everything has looked really, really good. They've done a great job with CGI has looked very, very good, and then practical effects has been absolutely amazing. The Rancor practical effects in this episode was like up there in some Star Wars monster type stuff for me. It was really, really good. Overall, I'm still kind of wondering, where we're going. It's kind of hard to propel a plot when you're in the same place. We're pretty much in Jabba's palace, and then we're pretty much in Mos Espa. So if the plot isn't really, really moving, it makes the show seem slow when your locations aren't changing. So that's probably my only overall gripe right now. I am enjoying the show.
Yeah, for me, I think we're like 3 episodes in, basically halfway, and the present time story has moved like a day and a half. So it's like, okay, what's all this should have happened before, and we should be like 3 or 4 weeks into it, kind of more. I don't know. It's taking. I know take it slow. It's the story's building. I think it's going too slow for being almost halfway through.
Yep.
But Oti, Konnor mentioned it. This is not just the most divisive, but the most talked about episode so far. I've seen on Twitter people saying this is their favorite. Others saying we're done. This is not Star Wars. The Vespas. So there's a lot of comments out there. Again, overall, where do you stand with this episode?
Okay, one quick comment. Konnor mentioned that the timeline is kind of weird, and for me, someone who it's like inside the Star Wars I made a weird comment in my podcast saying like, "Oh, I wonder if Quill could make a cameo in this show." And my Tony, who was helping me with the reviews, he's like, "Quill's dead, dude." And I'm like, "Oh, right," because this is like after the first season of Mandalorian. So okay, this episode. So I was with this group of Twitter people who loved the episode, and I do my review very early in the morning, and I was like, this was my favorite episode. And then I upload everything, and like at noon I start checking Twitter, and I see the backlash, and I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, I really liked it. Yeah.
All right, so we'll get into it. It's funny. I was yesterday guesting on Outer Rim Beacon, talking about this episode and talking about where does everything take place. And this was mostly about the flashback. How much time has Boba Fett spent with the Tuscans? I thought it's been like 2 days. And the way they were talking, it's probably a couple of weeks for everything to kind of be to the place it is. And like, well, I didn't get that. So I think all those points you guys are making are valid. At this timeline, we still really don't know where everything's going, how much time he's spending inside the Sarlacc. I think it's a few hours or a couple of days. How he's surviving there. People are saying weeks. I mean, unless the Sarlacc is keeping him alive. I don't know.
But Star Wars time has always been weird. Like, how much time was Luke with Yoda and Dagobah? Like, we really don't know. So, and how long did it? How much time between the sail barge attack and the attack on the Death Star? In the movies, like, yeah, let's go fight, and maybe they took a break for like a couple of weeks and then went to the rebellion. I don't know.
Yeah, a little detour.
Rogue One, I believe, was like one of the first bits of Star Wars canon material or Star Wars visual material period that we got, where we actually saw a jump in time and a representation of how much time, right? It was like, what was it, 13 years later or so when the Rogue One story starts, and they could really, really benefit not only in future Star Wars projects, but just Star Wars in general of, most fans know ABY, all of the abbreviations, having some sort of a stamped timeline of how much time is passing, I think would benefit a lot.
All right. Yeah, I think you're right. And it's funny because then some of the thoughts I've heard about the sequel trilogy, when they put a timeline, we got 6 hours in The Last Jedi, or we only have 6 hours worth of fuel. People complain, you're putting too much of a crunch in that. And then for Rise of Skywalker, it's the same thing. They're launching in X, we got 24 hours or whatever. I kind of crunches the story, but now we're kind of too expensive. We don't know what's going on. And so who was there, Oti? I couldn't see. Mr. Rez.
Mr. Rez and Paul.
And Paul. Good afternoon, gents. Thanks for being here, Paul. So Oti, I want to start with you because last time when we were talking about the Tusken Raiders, and then we'll just jump into the flashbacks and you can tell us your thoughts about, we'll leave what happened at the end. But when we were talking last week about the Tusken Raiders, do they have names? Are they going to show their faces or whatever? You said you had a theory about something, and we never circled back to it. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah.
Is it still in play with everything that happened in this episode?
No, I kind of mentioned it in the episode at the end. Like, I thought that he would like work with the Tuskens in present time, but then during the recording of our episode, I started thinking, I was like, I think the Tuskens are gonna die, and that's what's gonna get him to go back to the criminal world. And sadly, I was right.
Yes, I do remember you saying they're gonna die, and me and I think Roberto also said no, they're not gonna die. And yes, it's not that they died. I think it's how they died, or how they explain it. But anyway, so the flashback starts, and we get Boba riding the Bantha, which was a great shot. You talk, Konnor, about how the costumes are great, the Bantha is great. The way it moved to me was a little weird. Well, that shot was great, and then he went on to talk to the Pikes, say, hey, you gotta pay up. And then the Pike, I don't know, this captain, general, leader, whatever, just chilling in his little air conditioning hut, just kind of laying back. Okay, I'll pay you, but I'm not gonna pay anyone else. So you gotta go deal with that. Then we learned that this biker gang, what is it, that Kintan Striders went to the village, massacred all the Tuskens, and that's when Boba kind of comes back, burns everything. So before we jump into the controversy out there with this scene, what was your guys', and Konnor, will start with you, with this flashback, just in seeing Boba riding the Bantha into Tatooine, into Mos Espa, and then what happened at the end?
I love the flashbacks. I love the Tuskens.
It's my favorite so far.
For sure. We got a brief introduction to more of Tuscan culture in Mando, and it's just been a highlight of the show, to see them in their different garbs, and now we've learned that there's different tribes. The bantha was so slow. I don't know if you guys know this, but a 20-minute walk is a 40-minute bantha ride. Like that thing.
So funny because when he sees the smokes coming out of the village, he leaves the bantha and goes running. I'm like, do we just go with the bantha? No, it's probably easier.
Exactly. We have a theory at KonKon's Cantina, and we're really hoping that the main, the stunt female, the main kind of Tuscan that 1v1s, we don't see her.
Yeah.
We don't see the body, and we don't really see, exclusively like her gaffy stick or something like that. We're really hoping that we continue flashback scenes and we get more of her. I'm not super ready to leave the Tuscans. That's my fine. I think the Pikes look great also.
Right. Yes. We'll get into the Pikes because especially at the end, I love the design of the Pikes, the way they're just coming down that ramp. But Oti, we'll get to you. But also we saw the return of Pelimoto walking with her pit droids down the village down there, putting the Stormtrooper helmets on the Pikes. Reminiscence of Mando. I think this is on the show was yesterday that they said this is the same shot, just a different angle from the gunslinger in Mandalorian. So that's when they're thinking that there's a huge time jump that we're not really seeing. I haven't checked that episode again, but so we got Peli, which is great to see there. But Oti, what are your thoughts on this kind of introduction or reintroduction to the flashback before we get back to the village?
Quick thing. Peli. I loved seeing her, and it's weird because I hated her when I first saw her in the first one. Mando.
No,
yeah, and it's happened twice when she returned in season 2. I was like, but I was so happy to see like that quick cameo. What was the question? I forgot.
Just your thoughts on the flashback before we jump into what the Tuscan getting killed.
Oh,
what this kind of means.
I mentioned that the flashbacks hadn't been working for me, and has nothing to do with the story. It's how they intertwine. Like, yeah, I get it's important, but I wasn't a fan on how it's been executed. This one I liked. I think it was quick. It was straight to the point to what we're supposed to be seeing, and we'll get to the controversy. But yeah, I liked how it played out.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. First, the Pike guy just sitting there with no helmet, no face mask, chilling with his drink or whatever. Says, "Hey, I'm not gonna pay you. I talked to my guys over there with the syndicate, and they said we're not gonna pay 2 people. You gotta go deal with this other gang, Quinton Striders, the Nikto." And when Boba comes back, the whole village is destroyed. I'm with you guys. I don't think the Tuscan warrior, that she's dead, they would have showed her. If they show the chief, they show the stick that basically belonged to the kid, the Tuscan warrior has to be out there. It's Star Wars. If we don't see a body, and even if we see a body, probably they can still be alive.
Yep.
But then it's one of those things that everyone gushed last week about representation for the Tuscan Raiders, what this meant to indigenous people, to Native Americans, and all that. Boba Fett basically said this is their land. They're taking their land back, and everyone was so happy about what this meant finally. And then they all got killed, which a lot of us, or a lot of you guys kind of thought this might happen. But at least for myself, it's the way it happened. It happened off screen with this great Tuscan village that we had come to know and love. We knew they were great warriors. In the previous episode, Boba Fett told them, "Hey, you're warriors. Now you have technology to defend yourself. You're set." And then they get killed off screen. Seems pretty easy, kind of throws away what we learned and goes back to these tropes that a lot of people that watch Western movies had said a lot better than I have, that this always happens. The Indians get killed because they're the savages out there, and this has to happen for Boba Fett's story to move forward. But in my point of view, he didn't need this motivation. He has changed already by living with the Tuscans, and we saw that in the first 2 episodes. He didn't need this type of motivation. Oh, now I gotta go do something. He's past that. So he kind of gut punch and a punch in the face to a lot of people that felt that Star Wars was finally kind of moving forward. to now take 2 steps back, which unfortunately is something that they've done in the past. So, Oti, I'll start with you because you said you love this episode, and then kind of going through Twitter and see some of the backlash, not talking about the Vespas, we'll get to that in a minute, but about the way the Tuscans were kind of handled in this episode.
Yeah. Quickly, hi to Apprentice Ewok.
Ooh, thanks for being here.
And I'm with Mo. Tuscan Warrior is alive. No body, no death. I completely agree. So, okay. Okay. I have this thing, like, I don't see these parallels like some people do. And when I saw the Tuscan death, I was like, oh, that's sad, and moved on. Like, I didn't go into this whole, representation thing. And, then reading the comments on Twitter, I'm like, yeah, okay, they have a point. So I agree. It's kind of sloppy how it's done, like, off screen, and it's I don't know. It's kind of weird because they didn't really have to go with that trope. They could have, like, chosen to do something a bit different. Maybe they keep getting attacked, and Bo was like, you know what, I should leave and straighten things out. And I don't know, maybe be a bit more creative instead of jumping into the tropes, which Star Wars usually does. Like, if there's a trope, like, right there, Star Wars is just gonna hit it. And yeah, it kind of sucks. And I really hope we get, like, continue that story in some way, like maybe with the warrior, if she is alive or not. I think we see the body of the kid. And
no, but everyone's assuming that gaffy stick that he throws at the end is the kid's. It's a little bit smaller. I think it's the one he hit him with in the first episode. So it's kind of, you don't see the body because that might be a little bit too far, but kind of the stick represented. And I'm 100% with you that when I watch this show, especially the first time, all that stuff just goes right over my head. Since I didn't watch it till the end of the day, unfortunately, I was on Twitter, so I saw a lot of people complaining, not ruin it, but saying, all the forward steps we took with representation of the Tuscan now gets thrown away. So when I saw this happen, okay, I know what they're talking about. But if I saw this at 3 in the morning when people are watching it, I'll be, that's a great episode and whatever, but kind of hearing everyone, unfortunately, people's kind of changed my view of it. But first watch, I wouldn't have picked on it. So, Konnor, same for you, or did you kind of see it different when you watched it the first time?
Yeah, when I watched it the first time, exactly like Adi said, we spent so much time with them, and it feels like we're not getting a payoff, right? It was odd to see it off camera. Maybe it's a budget issue, maybe it's a big fight scene. There's probably a real world explanation as to why we didn't get it. And it's been probably my favorite part of the show so far. So the way that it was handled, I think it could have been done a little bit better. But we still have the hope of the Tuscan Warrior, so hopefully we continue to get more flashbacks. But yeah, definitely the off-screen stuff, I wasn't a fan of it.
Yeah, and maybe she's still alive when she and Boba meet back up. Then they'll flashback to this, and she can explain, and we kind of see what happened.
I wanted to add, it's also weird because this is the shortest episode, and by quite a lot. So there could have been, like, maybe 5 more minutes of maybe that little battle or something. I don't know. It definitely could have been done better.
Yeah, 100%. We can see the Bantha like 500 yards, and Boba just decided to leg it. In his 60 years, he was faster walking than taking the Bantha.
I just wanted to say, I think the Bantha being slow, because when I saw it moving, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be horrible. It's so slow. I think that prepared me for the race at the end.
Maybe it's like poetry, right? No one had seen it that way, but you're right. And I was gonna wait, but I'll probably forget about it. But you mentioned, Konnor, maybe it's a budget thing. I was thinking about how a lot of, in each episode, I think, there's some things that look great and some that kind of make you, really? You didn't have a little bit more budget? And the way I see it, it reminds me of when we're younger, or we're kids, and you're told, okay, this is your budget. You have $20 to buy whatever you want. And then you spend $18 on the first thing that you see. And then your parents go, dude, we still got like 4 more stores to go. And then you're complaining because you don't have money. Because the Rancor is one of the best creatures out there. In this episode, it looks awesome. Black Chrysanthemum and that fight, awesome. Last week, the train heist, awesome. The Bantha, too slow. the chase at the end too slow. So it's like, did you run out of money because you spend it all on the Rancor puppet? So I don't know. That's the way I see it. But as we're jumping then to the present time, unless you guys have anything else to add to the flashbacks, we go back to Kamino. And then we see the first two scenes that we saw in the first two episodes now edited together. Just one long shot of Boba seeing Jango Fett kind of leave Kamino. Are we coming back to Kamino, you think, or is that it?
I mean, Tobacco City is not there, so maybe he's going for like a beach trip or something.
Man, I should have. Okay, come on, dude. It's only been like 2 months. No, are we going back in another flashback to Kamino City?
Oh, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see more Kamino stuff. I kind of have a hunch that after this episode, though, we might be done with flashbacks, period. Obviously, that could change, but with how we leave the Tuskens, if the Tuskens are supposed to be this revelation of how Boba is this new Boba that we know, if they're not there anymore, we might not get any more flashbacks.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Get the Fennec thing.
Sorry?
I think we're gonna get the how he met Fennec how he saved her.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean that has to come, but I thought we would have seen that already. But then anyway, we jump to the present time. I usually go in order, but let's get it out of the way. The Vespa gang. So the Mos Espa's Vespa. Let's just jump into the controversy. Alti, you said you were ready for the chase because of the slow bantha. Did it throw you off when you saw these guys too bright?
Alberto,
doesn't look like Star Wars.
It was 6 a.m. I was in my bed with my iPad. I did not notice it. People, please stop complaining. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, fine. I'll agree. They're too colorful. Like, and it kind of has this feel like even here in Puerto Rico, you go through like a maybe poor neighborhood, and all of a sudden you'll see like this bright and shiny Mustang in the entrance. Okay, fine. He invested everything he had on the car, so it happens. But I'll agree. It looks kind of weird, but I don't care. Like I said it last week. Like I love when Star Wars is stupid. So whatever.
So Konnor, first impression of not just the bikes, but then the characters. Drash, I think, is the female character's name. I don't know the other guys. Are you okay with them? Have any issues?
Yeah, I liked the gang. Boba says that she's got guts. She's the first one to stab BK. I mean, takes out her knife, doesn't care. He's a big giant Wookiee. I don't mind the speeder bikes. Star Wars has always taken inspiration from Japanese culture. And these Vespas remind me of Bozazuko, which is a style for cars and motorcycles. Very Japanese current culture. Could they have been a little bit more dinged up? Probably. I think that people are overreacting a little bit much. But my criticism for the chase scene is not the chase scene in itself, but the length of the scene. I did not believe it needed to be 4 minutes long. It was a little much.
It was 4 minutes.
It was 4 minutes.
Oh,
it was a little long. But besides that, I enjoyed it. Yes, the representation of speed might have not have been there, but it was all practical. It's hard to do that in practical. So
I even saw like I don't know if you guys saw it. The shot of Drash like doing the drift. It's sped up. Like if you see her hair, it doesn't move naturally. It's like the shot. It's like extremely sped up.
Yeah, I saw someone post about it. That's how I learned. But yeah, I don't have a problem with the gang. I love that they're extremely colorful and that they kind of. Yeah, we're here. We're on Tatooine. We're gonna show off. I loved it. My only complaint was they look too much like a Vespa. Especially the bottom part was like too flat. If they made it some designs to make it more Star Wars, okay, but they stood out, which was great. People complain, we keep going to Tatooine. It's the same thing. Okay, here's something new. Oh, it's too new, like always. But yeah, I love Drash. I love her that everyone has these cybernetic implants. Reminded me of the book Last Shot by Daniel Jose Order, that this villain just keeps putting these droid parts because he's obsessed or whatever. It reminded me of that. It gave me more solo vibes, especially the chase scene, the speeder that the Mayordomo was using. Was Mo adding? I adore Spy Kids, so I have no problem with the gang. Everyone that loves Spy Kids is loving this show because there's Robert Rodriguez is bringing a lot of that. I haven't seen Spy Kids in I don't know how long. I think I only saw the first one. I don't even know how many there are.
4.
But 4?
I think.
Yeah.
That might be a bit too many, but okay. But I'm fine with the gang. Same thing. The speeder chase a little too slow, but the speeder that the Mayordomo was driving, and then this protocol droid walking right down the street reminded me of Solo when he's being chased by the white worms at the beginning, and then this other droid gets in the way and gets run over. Keeps giving me those Solo vibes that I love, and I love seeing them square with Black Chrysanthemum because that was a great fight. Let's just jump to it. So Boba Fett, it's in his back the tank, dreaming of Kamino, and then it opens and all the water pours out. And I said this yesterday. This is my homeowner mentality came in. I hope there's a drain because that's a lot of water to just kind of fall down. And then
The floor is ruined. The floor is ruined.
Yeah, the floor. Come on, that's not laminate. No, that's not gonna hold. If he has carpet. But then he gets thrown the hell out. This reminded me of Predator. He gets beat up. Then the gang comes. They get beat up also. It's still Fennec Shan comes and uses her head. Okay, well, let's just throw him down the chute to the empty Rancor pit. But Konnor, take me through your mentality watching this fight scene.
When I saw Black Chrysanthemum in episode 2, I said, if this guy is not yeeting somebody, a grown man, like a baby doll, at some point in this show, I'm going to be upset.
Semi-naked old man.
Semi-naked, just throwing my guy across the room. I loved it. I also liked that when the Gamorrean guard showed up, it was cool that BK immediately realized like the gang was less of a threat, but he needed to take out the guards and just clotheslines both of them. And takes them down, and BK just looks fantastic. I hope that this is not the last time that we see him.
Yeah. Now, so Oti, so before you go, I can't believe I saw on Twitter people saying, "Oh, he should have beaten the gang even more." There were like 8 people ganging up on him. He threw everyone against every wall. He got stabbed with that gaffer stick like twice. Got stabbed by Drash also. So oh man, I love those brass knuckles that he had. I don't know how Boba still has a jaw with that right hook that he took, but yeah, it was a great fight scene, very brutal, and I think we'll get him back. There's no way. Yeah, just walk away. But Oti, thoughts on this fight?
For me, it was even like a jump scare. Like when you see, I was like, "Whoa!" So I loved it. I was so happy. I think we've never seen a Wookiee in action, like because we've seen Chewie like shooting, and in Solo we see him like fight, but Black Chrysanthemum, like he was fighting, and I was happy. Yeah, it's a great scene. It plays on something a little bit further. I forgot to mention the actual beginning of the show. It's when Boba Fett is talking with the droid with 88 and kind of saying, hey, this is how the land is divided now. There's 3 sections. Let me see. The Trandoshans have the city center, Aqualish the workers district, and then the Klatooinians have the spaceport and the upper sprawls. I love seeing that projection that he had of all of Mos Espa. And then this watermonger comes to complain, and I love, again, ADA, he just wants to torture people. When the guy says, oh, we don't respect you, enough. He was ready to kill him right there, enough. But then Boba said, oh, let him speak. And that's when we jump into the gang, the speeder gang. But then, just finally with Black Chrysanthemum, then here comes the twins, the hot twins show up. I have a quick question. Do you guys are a bit suspicious about Fennec Shand not being there for the fight? Like, she took like a while to get there. Maybe she was taking a shower. Maybe she was in the bathroom. I don't know. Yeah. But
skipping the bed one for Boba to get there.
Yeah. I really didn't think about it until a friend of mine like said, hey, it's kind of weird. And I was like,
I don't know. I think the speeder gang took a while to get there. Boba got thrown like 5 times before they showed up. Again, maybe all that water on the floor, they had to walk tread carefully.
Oh,
And then once they go down the stairs, that's when Fennec Shan shows up. We don't know. We don't know how big this palace is. Maybe it takes a while to get there.
Well, we've
Is-
played the palace in Battlefront 2.
We
So
did,
we know the palace is pretty big. I think she's got her own quarters. I like the train of thought of maybe she does have her own interests. I think that would be a really good plot twist that the show could benefit from. But what we know from Star Wars and Life Debts, I don't know
Yeah.
that would happen particularly. But I do agree. It did take her a little bit long to get there. And she loves those throwing knives. Loves them.
Yeah. Yeah, could have just blown him right off. No, let me just throw this dart or this knife and just knock him down the pit. But then it was funny to me because in all the other episodes, she's the one that's ready to kill someone. And then when Boba and they say, okay, I gotta send a message, and she's like, oh, you already sent it. He's down there in the pit. Don't worry about it. So I thought she was gonna be the first one. Yeah, let's go get him.
finally.
But then no. So because that's one of the complaints of the show, and let's just jump into it. That Boba, we know it's a different Boba Fett. It's not this bounty hunter that we've kind of made on our mind or through the comic books. He has different motivations now. Fennec Shan's the one kind of, you gotta play the game. You gotta be a bit more upfront. We already saw that people don't respect you. Do you guys feel that this Boba Fett feels a little bit different from the one we saw in the Mandalorian? It's kind of the same kind of progression.
No, I mean, he does arrive in Tython to, kick ass. So
Yeah.
I can, but that was like the reintroduction of the character. Like he had to have like a scene like that. And I shout out to Triad of the Force. They had like this breakdown of Boba Fett, like Boba Fett the action figure versus Boba Fett the character. And we're getting into Boba Fett the character because this show could not be Tython over and over and over and over and over again. Like, spoiler alert, it's gonna get old. Like, so I really do hope he has like a big scene, maybe with the Rancor and everything. But, I don't think it's detached because even in the Tython thing, he can leave and go about his day, and he's like, no, not quite. We're not done here. I'm gonna help you. So I'm gonna say no. I don't feel it's detached from that character.
I feel it's a little bit different, but I think there's a good reason for it. This is Mark Rodriguez's Boba Fett. The writing and everything that we got in Mando was, we had all these different directors, and in this show we have predominantly 2 writers, 1 director. We know that we are getting some more direction from Dave Filoni later in the season, but I do think that this is Mark Rodriguez's Boba. Just think about how his interaction with Bo-Katan and of course her name is escaping me later in Mandalorian season 2. He gets in her face like right away, and I feel like we don't see that from Boba, but the explanation is what he's learned from the Tuskens. He used to be right in your face all the time, and now he takes a little bit to think about his actions. And I think people look over that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna put it now because this was actually a question that for our question segment, Rebel Thoughts, where our friend Roberto was here, and he asked, Boba Fett has been very tame so far. Will we see him cut loose and see a bit of the old Boba Fett? And what will it take for him to get there? And we kind of talked about it. Otis said we will probably get at least one big scene. I think we will. Maybe he's riding the Rancor down the streets of Mos Espa. It's gonna. Maybe that's where the whole budget went. Forget about everything else we've seen. Just give us that. So
one quick comment: like people forget that in the first episode he blew a guy up. Like
yes. I saw someone say, "Oh, I'm waiting for him to disintegrate someone." It happened already. Just didn't pay attention. But Rancors. We've been talking about Rancors. So the Hot Twins show up. My bad. We tried to kill you. Sorry. We'll leave. Here's our gift. Here's a Rancor.
That was so weird.
You can kill Black Santa. We don't care about it. And send them back to the gladiator pits. And this is your present. It's like, and we're done. We're going back to Nalhota. We don't want wars. I still don't trust those Hots. I think they have a part to play. It's kind of weird because they got there pretty quick. Last night they tried to kill him. They're already there by 6 a.m. Sorry about that. So yeah, Konnor, Hot Twins, Rancor, Danny Trejo.
Loved the Hut Twins. I hope we see more of them. I think that everything that we've seen of them has been really, really good so far. The
Mhm.
accents, everything about them, the visual effects, super, super great. Danny Trejo is in Star Wars. Like
Yeah.
seriously. And it was so cool to see him on Twitter and Instagram being so happy to be in the Star Wars
Mhm.
universe. And I think that I love seeing just established actors that we know be brought into Star Wars. Everyone wants to be in Star Wars. I thought that was super cool. And we've already talked about it. Rancor looked amazing. And I 100% agree. I do not trust the twins. I
Yeah.
don't trust them so much that I hope that we continue to see them more so because I don't want their part to be done.
Yeah. Agreed. I've seen some people say, no, that's it. They don't want anything to do about this. They're done it. No. Us don't play that. They'll be back. Because it makes no sense. Oh, we're here. This is ours. No, we couldn't kill you. Okay, we're leaving. Didn't make sense.
No, it's weird. Like we're gonna take this because it's our birthright, and then like, oh no, the Pikes are involved. We're not getting it.
Yeah. So I'll say when I watched it first, seeing Danny Trejo threw me off because it's
Okay.
not. Oh, who's that? Oh, is that Danny? No, it's Danny Trejo. He's there. He's not playing a character. He's there. But then seeing it again, and what I love about it, like you said, Konnor, it's the love that these people have for being in that universe. And that, okay, I don't care if it took me out. Seeing that, same as Diego Luna loves being in Star Wars so much, I'm fine with it. But it was great seeing him, and then that scene in the pit, talking to Boba how to deal with the Rancor, how they imprint into the first person they see. Uh, and then they got kind of called away because of the Major and all that. Oti, final thoughts on the Rancor. Is he gonna ride it? Do you think Danny Trejo is a plant by the Hot Twins, or is he there as no? He's fine. He's gonna help with the Rancor training.
I trust Danny Trejo because he's Danny Trejo, and he would never do anything like that. I love him. Like ever since they announced Robert Rodriguez as part of the showrunners,
Mhm.
I knew we were gonna see Danny Trejo, and the minute he showed up, I was like, okay, so Robert Rodriguez directed this episode because they're so close friends. I love the Rancor thing. I'm a huge like animal lover. So like seeing someone be like, hey, they're basically like the pit bulls of the galaxy. Like, yeah, if you train them to be like
Mhm.
rabid dogs, that's what you're gonna get. But if you treat them with respect, with love, you're gonna get something totally different. So can't wait to see that Rancor be loved by Boba Fett because Boba Fett looks so happy next to that thing, like so happy.
Yeah.
Like those stills of Tamura Morrison, that smile is infectious, man.
Mhm.
Like it's huge.
Yeah. Do you held any hope that was Moochie from the Bad Batch, or nah, he's too young? Don't worry.
It is Mushi. It is Mushi.
You say it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It is.
In my head canon, it's Muchi.
it would definitely be really cool for it. I'd be all for it 100%.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to mention something very quick that happened at the beginning of the episode.
Mhm.
Do you guys know about the Bolmar monks?
Oh, that
Yes.
spider at the beginning. Yeah.
But do you know the story of the Bolmar monks?
The only I know they were in Return of the Jedi in one little corner, darkened corner. But
Let's bring this back at the end of the episode. It's weird.
Yes.
all right, let me make a comment because we're all for you. I'm just gonna write spiders.
At the end, like at the
All
very
right.
end.
So anyway, so then the Huts say, "Well, we're leaving because the mayor promised the area, the territory to someone else."
Mhm.
And then they say, "Okay, let's go pay him a visit." And we see my friend, the mayordomo, which I love so
Love
much
him,
because he's
love him.
just an idiot. But apologies, and he didn't say it this time, which made me mad. But he's like, "Oh no, he's not here. He's gone for the month or whatever." Locks himself and then just drives away. Then we have the chasing. We talked about the chasing already. But he said that one thing in the chasing, Boba Fett gets there with his jetpack pretty quickly. I think he could have done this instead of sending the Vespa gang. He
No,
could just flown
I was
over.
hoping for that to happen. I really was.
Yeah. But talking about it yesterday, maybe he just seeing how good they really are. Just this is their first test. Go and get that guy over there. But then, hey, the mayor is working with the Pikes. And then we come to the end scene and we see this transport and all the pikes coming down, which was an awesome shot. I love seeing the pikes. Their design, like you said, Konnor, is great. And then we're getting ready for war. So real quick, Konnor, knowing that the pikes are involved, and where do you see this going in the future episodes?
Yeah, I hope we get more name drops of more syndicates. You
Okay.
know, we had the name drops in Solo, and we've even had in the original Star Wars trilogy, we've had name drops of these syndicates. You know, now we have the Hutts. We got a little bit of introduction of Pikes in Clone Wars and whatnot. I'm hoping that we actually do have some sort of an all-out war, and
Mhm.
maybe Boba's got to call in some other people. You know,
Yeah.
maybe he's got some Black Sun or whoever it might be to help him in this, you know, with this turf war. Maybe he even aligns with the Hutts. You know, who knows?
Who knows?
But you know, I like you said, that I loved them. I like them even without their masks off. Super cool. I can't wait to see more of them and what they do. Right, we've only kind of seen them in action shooting on the train.
Mhm.
You know, so hoping for some like more close combat stuff with them.
Yeah, because those guys on the train were more like kind of not even enforcers, just you're there to protect the train. Not we're not part of the syndicate, kind of sort of hired guns almost. So yeah, seeing what this group that just came in, about 12 of them, let's see what they do. But yeah, Oti, your thoughts on this, and then where are we gonna get more crime syndicates? I'm thinking from the trailer that Boba Fett met with all the other families in that big table with the Trandoshans. I think he's going to them, hey, we have this problem that we gotta band together. Do you see this coming? Is Kira and Crimson Dawn still out there and maybe show up at some point? Episode 6?
Yeah, so the thing is that we don't know the fate of Kira and Crimson Dawn because that story is still being told.
Mhm.
I hope she's alive. I hope she'll show up, but
She
I'm
has
not
to.
sure. But no, don't say that. That's dangerous. Are we gonna see more syndicates? I hope so, man. Yeah, like I really thought they were gonna go the route of creating new ones for the show.
Mhm.
So I'm happy they didn't, and we already saw the Pikes and the Hutts. So let's see what happens. I love the Pikes, but I like their design from the Clone Wars a bit better. I know, practical things, CGI maybe wouldn't work as well, so I'm fine with it. But yeah,
It's not complaint for me. My only thing about the Pikes is that every iteration looks different. There's few tweaks, like you said in Clone Wars and Rebels, they are this bigger kind of head and all that. Solo, it got reduced a little bit, and now we have this other design, which is great. Also have that little double neck.
yeah, they look good. They really look good.
They look great, and seeing them without their mask and just talking basic is fine. Seeing them with their mask and talking whatever language they are, it's also great. But yeah, I think now a lot of the complaints that people have had so far in terms of it's moving too slow, it's not really this gangster story. I think now it's gonna pick up for the final 4 episodes. Now we're gonna see that play out. Hopefully the flashback I kind of done already, and we can focus on this primary story going forward. Find out how he Fennec Shand got together, but then just go to this bigger gangster syndicate crime lord story that we all thought we were getting from the beginning. But that's the great thing about television. We had like 7 hours to tell this story, so it's only been 3. We'll get there. All right, so any final thoughts on this episode, Oti, before we come back and talk about the Bomarax or whatever they call
The spider. Konnor, you want to say anything?
Yeah, the comment about Kira. I would absolutely love to see Kira get involved in this. However, this is 22 years after the events of Solo. Would this take you guys out if you saw Amelia Clark walk on screen? I mean, 22 years later.
I thought about this, but
Uh-huh.
we have the same problem with Katie Sackhoff as
True. Bo-Katan.
As Bo-Katan, because she should be like Anakin's age by this time, and Anakin was an old man in the original Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it, man. Age in Star Wars is something that's totally weird. Also, like, how did Obi-Wan Kenobi age so much? Like,
and even Boba is supposed to be like 40 or something at this point. So I had an issue with it thinking about it, Konnor, because the same thing. Of course, you can't have anyone else that's not Katie Sackhoff playing Bo-Katan. So it had to be her, even though for us, should it? Same thing for Kira. But then I think real world. Look at Paul Rudd. Look at Keanu Reeves. They've been the same for 40 years.
They're vampires.
Maybe some
mean-
people in Star Wars have those same vampire genes, and
Yeah.
they're one of them.
Jane Fonda's like 90 and looks better than people in their 60s.
Yeah. All right, so that kind of brings an end to the episode. We didn't talk too much about the Speeder Gang.
I wanted to mention a little thing. I love the watermonger.
Yeah,
Like he's Milton from Office Space, and I loved him, and I love how he was like, oh, they have these weird enhancements with technology. It's like an old guy complaining about kids with tattoos and piercings.
Yeah.
they're riding skateboards in my front yard.
Get out of my lawn.
But I'll say, I know I mentioned Danny Trejo took me out a little bit. This guy, as soon as I saw him, like, yeah, Office Space. What are you doing here? Get out.
Oh no, I didn't.
I couldn't deal with him.
Okay,
It didn't take me out either.
I loved it.
I
loved it.
I would enjoy more slapstick comedy in Star Wars. I don't think we have enough of it, especially in the TV shows. I think there's obviously more screen time than a movie to deal with more slapstick comedy. So I enjoyed him.
Yeah,
That's where I am with the mayor. I love the mayor, even though he's stupid with all his stuff. But I'm in the mayordomo. That's where I get it. This guy's okay, fine. You got some weird
Milton.
hairs. Yeah.
Yeah, K. Milton. Yeah.
But then it's funny when Boba Fett tells the gang, okay, you're working for me, and he just comes out of nowhere. Oh, what are you doing? He's just looking out the window, like you say, this old guy just waiting for the police to get everyone out of the way.
And I'm like, I love that scene when he's like, they owe me 1,300 credits, and he's like, what?
For water? And then water gets broken, and every episode water is just draining out of everything. Dude, it's so important. All right, so you want to talk about the spider, the Bomar, whatever its name is. So give us the backstory. And Konnor, if you know anything about it, just let us know.
Just found out about this like on Thursday, maybe. So they're like these group of monks that they vow to not have any sensation or interaction with anything. So they extract their brains, put them inside these spiders, and they just like walk around whenever they need anything. But yeah, their brains are just like hanging out there so they can meditate and go like deeper into their spiritual trance. And so those monks lived in Jabba's palace. They have like different palaces around Tatooine, and the crime syndicates have been taking over them and basically expelling them. But Jabba the Hutt kept them around because he liked how gruesome they look.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Even I wish we got a story like that. Tell us about that in the TV shows. But I mean, that's a lot to take in. But yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I know I had seen them in Return of the Jedi. I didn't know the backstory. I knew there was one, but I didn't go after it. Everyone lost it when they showed up in the trailer. I was like, yeah, whatever, they're there.
I had no idea what they were. I literally found out on Thursday, I think. But I just love that Star Wars thing. Like some random thing in the background suddenly gets this massive backstory. Like, what the hell?
Did you know about this, Konnor?
Yeah, it's when C-3PO and R2 are first walking into Jabba's palace, right? And C-3PO kind of looks around. And he's like, "Ooh," you know. It's one of the Beaumont monks walking in the background. They also had. There are two things I wanted to bring up. In the special edition, we have a scene that like steps back from Jabba's palace, and we have a sand creature use his tongue like a frog. We saw that same creature in this episode, so a little bit of a callback. And then my favorite line of the episode: "I want to ride it. I've ridden these 10 times its size." Clearly, a callback to Holiday Special Boba riding that big dinosaur. So. Like you said earlier, Alberto, we gotta get him on that Rancor.
Why else would they say it if they're not gonna show it? If they don't, I'll throw my Star Wars fan card. Come on, don't tease us like that, and then don't do it.
I just thought of something. What if we don't see him in this series? But then when he returns in Mandalorian or whatever that show's leading to, he arrives in that like a badass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just to fight Thrawn.
We haven't seen Boba in like 2 years, and all of a sudden, I'm here.
Nah, he has to do it this season. It's cool, but no. It has to happen now because, but why? Has to be a big. I know something has to happen to him for him to need to ride a Rancor into battle. I mean, he can just ride it like it'll be fun. He can master riding this Rancor, then he sees Mando, and you couldn't ride a Blurg. Come on, I'm riding a Rancor over here.
Can you imagine it's just like overkill? It's just like a small battle, and he arrives like, "Ah!"
Yeah, it's over. But yeah, that was kind of it. I think overall it was a good episode.
I really liked it. I really liked it.
A little bit of backlash with the Tuscan, the way it was handled. And again, for myself, it doesn't hit as hard as it did for indigenous people and people that has this in their history. So I understand why they're upset about it. But most of the thing out there that people were complaining was the bikes too colorful, doesn't fit in Star Wars, doesn't fit on Tatooine. We're all kind of in the same page. That was kind of the point of it. They look cool. They did what they were supposed to do, and we'll see where it goes from now. So, still excited for the season. Do you guys know? I don't think it's been said anywhere, but do you think this is a one and done season, or there might be another one afterwards? Because it's going too slow. But if it's 2 seasons or 3, then yeah, there'll be more stories. Or is this just going to be a one and done show?
I think that we get another one. I think it's very easy, and book 2, Book of Boba Fett. I think that'd be very easily done. It reminds me of Avatar: The Last Airbender. We had each book being a different chapter of the elements and whatnot. So I think that we do get more from this. I don't think this is going to end, and especially we can consider Tamora probably a legacy character now, right? We put him up there with other people. Let's use him. We have him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he wants to play. He wants to keep doing this. On an interview, he said, they asked him about the Ahsoka show. He said, "Oh, where's Rex? Where's Cody? Call me."
Exactly.
So maybe he shows up in Obi-Wan as Cody. Who knows? Cody, if you've been following me for the 2 years almost I've been doing this show, I have a vendetta against Cody. So
I love Cody.
Cody. So. All right, so that kind of wraps up our show for today. Thank you both, Otis. Thank you, Konnor, for being here for the first time. We'll do it again soon. So Konnor, starting with you, where can people find you? What's next for you guys over there?
First of all, Alberto, thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed my time here. You guys can find us on social media at KonKon's Cantina everywhere except TikTok. TikTok is KonKon's Cantina podcast. And we have episodes that come out every single Monday.
Cool. Oti?
Hi. You can find me over at Twitter and Instagram at EP Star Wars, whatever it says down here. I host a podcast called El Podcast de Star Wars. It's a bilingual podcast. Sometimes it's in English, sometimes it's in Spanish. When it's which, I don't know. So, yeah.
All right. And thank you guys for being here. Oti, as always, we'll see you next week. Next week, we have our friend Candace from the Geeky Waffles going to be here talking about episode 4. Konnor, thank you for being here. Great meeting you. We're sure to do this again. With everything that's happening in Star Wars, we have plenty of time to meet up. Go make sure you check out his show every Monday. For us, as always, if you're here, you know where to find us, but on Twitter and Instagram at Radio Rebel Pod. New episodes here on YouTube every Saturday at 5 p.m. And then if you just want to listen to us on your drive to work, then new episodes drop on Monday for your podcast. So thank you everyone in the chat. Dale, may the force be with you. Mo, Apprentice Ewok, Mr. Rez, Paul, everyone that joined us today. Thank you for being here. And as always, stay safe, be safe, and may the force be with you.
Rebellions are built on hope.